Hi friends, Simit here from informedtrades.com. In today's video, I want to do a review of GuruFocus, a service that I've covered in a lot of our value investing videos and one that I personally subscribe to and think is worth checking out. Let's get started. Okay, key points. GuruFocus is a very powerful screener. It's literally the best screener I've seen that allows you to screen against or across the most criteria imaginable. So to me, that's the biggest appeal of it and why I really like the product, why I subscribe to it. Related to that, it's also got pre-built screens for a variety of strategies. So if you're overwhelmed by the robust screener, it's got some screens built for you. Moreover, there are model portfolios built upon these screens with their own track record. So basically, you've got stocks that you can follow. That are giving to you based on a little criteria, various criteria. They'll say, here's a value screen. Here are stocks that comply with this value screen or that meet this criteria, and here's how that portfolio has performed. Insider trades, you can see what executives are buying stocks of their own company. That can be a big indicator, as well as what executives are selling stocks of their own company, especially for small cap, micro cap. That can be really useful. You can follow the trades of prominent fund managers. A lot of the hedge fund traders that make the news. Those trades are public information. That information is actually free, or there's a lot of free information on GuruFocus as well. So the price is $350 for U.S. stocks per year. Additional countries are an additional price. Europe, to cover all of the stock exchanges in Europe, I think it's $400 per year. Canada's a little less, $300 per year. So I've just got the base package of U.S. stocks, but if you want something truly global and scan across the world, it's going to run you a little more. Or if you want to focus on specific regions, for instance, just Canada, that'd be a little less, maybe more like $300 US per year. Okay, so let's take a look at the actual screener. We've looked at this a bunch in where I've illustrated how I use it in a lot of the valuation ratios that we've done so far, and I'll continue to show how I use it for dividend stocks and other types of trading. You can really use it for a wide variety of criteria. Here's the screener here. You can sort amongst all these criteria. So that was the biggest appeal to me. Share buyback rate, that's something I'd like to have the option of screening against. Many of these indicators, Sloan ratio, Altman Z-score, Petrosky F-score, return on tangible equity, ROC, a lot of these things aren't even in most screeners. So there's a lot of free screeners out there, and they'll have things like market cap and cash to debt and EPS and return on equity and things like that. They're probably not going to have things like institutional ownership, insider ownership, enterprise value they might not have. So that's pretty impressive there. There's also some things, valuation rank. You can show me price to book that's in the bottom 20%. And we talked about how value quintiles are a simple, great way of finding stocks that historically have tended to outperform. For instance, stocks in the bottom quintile based on price to book ratio tend to outperform. So here you have the screen it's very easy to conduct that screen and find the stocks that are good for you. If you're a growth trader, you have a portfolio, some percentage of your portfolio that you want to allocate towards growth stocks. There's some really great growth data here. You want to find stocks that have a revenue growth rate. Small cap stocks with growing revenue, that's an interesting screen right there. What's perhaps most unique about GuruFocus, first I should mention here's a dividend screener. A lot of this stuff though, dividend screening you can find on most many other screeners. It's the combination of dividend with all the other things that we talked about that adds a lot of value, in my opinion. So you have a lot of the base features like dividend growth rate, payout ratio, yield. You're going to find that on many screeners. But combining it with things like Guru's, show me dividend following stocks that have a dividend growth rate of whatever you want to specify, at least 3%, for instance, that are also traded by many hedge funds. Or the hedge fund managers that you like. And here's some big names here. You can see Bill Gates, Bill Ackman, Carl Icahn, Caxton Associates, Charlie Munger. So that's pretty powerful part of the screener. And related to another thing the screener against is insider buying. See what stocks the CEOs are buying, CFOs are buying, all insiders are buying, over what period. That's, as you will see, that's a pretty powerful indicator. Now, a lot of the information in the screener can be overwhelming, so GuruFocus also has for you model portfolios that they've tracked, and you can see the stocks that are in each portfolio here. So here's, one of the, for instance, the founder of GuruFocus, very big value investor, you can sort of see that in the product, uses this screener, the Buffett-Munger screener, sort of meets the criteria. This relates very similar to, or a lot of the stocks in this screen are going to rely on the net working capital ratio, price to NNWC. We have a video on that. You can see how this screen is built for you and the stocks that are in this portfolio. So they have model portfolios, and these portfolios are rebalanced every year. So you can join in now. You missed some of the move. But if you're at the start of the beginning of the year, you can find stocks that are pretty interesting based on these screens, right? So there's quite a bit of, you can see all the model portfolios, and they've got the performance of those portfolios as well. Buffett-Munger screen, excuse me, that's probably the most popular one, but there's also portfolios on CEOs buying. So what companies have their own CEOs buying that stock, you can see that portfolio has performed very, very well. Right, you can see some of the companies here. So basically, for those who want a minimum effort strategy, you can just they have these portfolios you can basically copy. And if you get in at the start of the year, you're following right along with this chart here. Okay, insider trading, like I mentioned, that's a big part of this. We just talked about that. You can also see what stocks have their executives recently buying, right? So, for instance, this date is February 13th. You can see stocks that, the executives, who bought it and how much. And then you can find this information in the screener as well, in the all-in-one screener that we talked about before. There's RSS updates, so you can get this information in real time. Really powerful information that it can help you identify stocks that are going to be outperforming the market. Latest stock picks, like we mentioned before, there's specific gurus you can find, and all of this is in the screener, or you can subscribe to them, right? You can have your own list of my gurus, and find, specific investors that you want to follow. If you just want to follow George Soros and buy everything he's buying, you can get updates on that. Now, you will get update a little bit delayed, right? So these come in pretty fast, but it's not going to be, George Soros is going to get that trade in before you get noticed that George Soros placed that trade. So there's going to be a bit of a move that has already occurred, and there's other people following it that are going to be faster. But this is pretty interesting, and I think it's even more interesting when you combine it with the screeners and the model portfolios that they already have. So for instance, if you want to find stocks that issue dividends that are invested in by people like Dan Loeb, or just all of these hedge fund gurus in general, that's something you can do with the GuruFocus tool. Like we talked about, premium membership, $349 a year. If you don't want the premium membership, there is a 7-day free trial. I should also note that. 7-day free trial. If you don't want any of that, you don't want to pay for stuff, there's still a whole bunch of free information. So a lot of the information that hedge fund managers, or a lot of the trades that hedge fund managers are putting on, that's publicly disclosed. They have to file with the SEC when they put on their trades for their hedge fund. And those filings are pulled into GuruFocus. So you can get all of that information here. Not all the features of the screener, but some of the features of the screener are available. It's still a really cool screener that you can use for free. There's a lot of articles as well as a discussion forum as well. So I think the premium membership's worth it. I've got one, but if you're not up for it, or if you don't have the budget for it, there's still a lot of free things that are pretty interesting. Personally, I think with a tool that costs $350 a year, at least, I would think you'd need at least $10,000 in the market for it to really be worthwhile. Maybe even a little more, maybe $12,000 to $15,000. But if you're somewhere in that range, I think maybe this is a product worth considering. It's a fee that, if you've got that much money that you're willing to put into the market, you want to make sure that you're using it wisely. And a tool like this, I think, could be very helpful in that regard. If you've got less than that, I think the tool is just too expensive. And plus, you have to factor in commissions for when you're trading. I think you may be better off, in my opinion at least, saving your money until you have a bit more, and then when you have a bit more capital, maybe considering a tool like this. That's about it. Any questions you have, anything you want to add, join us at informedtrades.com. Best of luck in your trading and investing, and we'll see you next time. Take care.